Hi everyone, this is going to be a drawing and a painting of a cat, and I wanted to show you the supplies that we need for our class today. One of the things we're going to use is a Crayola crayon, a pencil. If you need to erase, you can use an eraser. Any kind that erases pencil is good. If you want to sharpen, you can always use a pencil sharpener. This kind is pretty good because the Crayola does not get stuck inside there. Some water for the watercolors, some watercolor paints. It comes with a paintbrush, which is good, or you can do like me and get some of your own, which you may have. Some Bounty, which is useful, and or a little towel to blot down the paint from the watercolors on here after you wash it. For watercolors, it's useful to have watercolor paper or any type of paper that absorbs paints that are water-based. So we're going to need some paper that's 11 by 15 inches or slightly bigger. It depends what you want to draw on, but bigger the better. And we need to activate our paints with water. First and foremost, let's start out by drawing the outline in pencil of our cat. Now the first third of the paper is going to be for the head and ears, then a skinny neck over here, and then the rest of the paper will be for the body and the tail on the side. So let's get going. Now we're going to draw the crown of the head and then the ears, which stick out nice and pointy but rounded at the top. And then we're going to start making the curls on the cat. I always make the inside of the ears in this type of shape, and then start with the curls. Now if you prefer to draw a little more lightly than I draw, that's fine. It actually tends to be better to draw a little bit lighter because then you can't see the outlines of the pencil. We're not going to join the bottom of the head. We're actually going to draw a pencil neck. So that's a thin pencil neck. I'm going to extend it a little more because I want him to look kind of unique, this cat. And then for the fur on the chest, we're going to go around and then up a little bit for the curls, that is. You can go any way you like as long as they come out looking kind of different. Now for the paws, we're going to draw a straight down, and we're going to stop about here and then add some paws on this cat. And we're going to go over here at the other paw, and we're going to go up, down the middle, back up towards the top, and then add another line on the bottom. Now these legs are very, very skinny. Now we add the body, and we add the other side to the body, but we stop about here because what we're going to do is add a tail. And this tail is going to be curly and curving. You don't want it to be too skinny, so there you go. Now for the eyes of this cat, we're going to make an almond shape. And you join either side. And then we're going to make the hood of the eyes. And then we will insert some eyes, pupils, as well. Now the pupils in cats are these type of little slits that give them that unique cat-like stare. So that's the cat's eyes. For the nose, we want it rather big in between both eyes. And instead of being too pointy at the bottom, we're going to make kind of rounded shapes at the edges of the nose. And then we're going to make the nostril. Mind you, we're going to go over this in Crayola afterwards, after we're done with the pencil art lines. There you have the cat. You might want to add lightly some whiskers. Cats have whiskers on their faces, but they also tend to have them on the tops of their heads as well. And that's the part for the whiskers. We're going to add some little dots because all cats seem to have that on their faces as well. And you can draw hearts over here or something else. You can draw some stars. I'm going to have a little bit of movement in the paper by making the hearts go different ways in different directions. So that's 1, 2, 3. Should we add a fourth? We'll add a fourth. There. Now we have 4 hearts, a cat made of lines, and now we're going to draw in Crayola. We're going to go over this in Crayola. In order to use these watercolor paints, we're going to add some water to them and try and start them and get them to be a little more moist, because otherwise it's really hard to paint with them. So we're not going to use all the colors, so there's really no need to put paint in every single one, but I did just to show you how it is. So we're going to start off by painting the inside of the cat. We're going to start by using the purple. And once these are nice and wet, we're going to just add some paint. And it doesn't have to be very thick, the paint that you use. It can be a wash. Or if you want it slightly darker, you can add a little more paint. And it depends what kind of effect you want to have on the paper. Here we're just going to go for a very light paint. And we're not going to let it dry too much. We're going to try and get this on the first go. Now it depends how much paint you put on your brush. And I just dab it a little bit and do a nice stroke. And I don't want to go over the same part that I went over, because then it'll leave a darker mark of paint on that area. So I put a dab of water on my paintbrush, and I just go in different places slowly and build up the effect that I want. There's a wet on wet effect, and there's a wet on dry effect. Watercolors tend to buckle the paper, and that's when you're adding too much water to one area. But if you push the paint properly, it looks really nice. There are different types of paper for watercolor, but the two most popular are cold press and hot press. Now this paper is cold press paper. It depends what kind of an effect you want your watercolors to have. And the type of paper that you use has an effect also on the types of paints, on the way that the paints will will spread out on the paper. So now this cat is just about done with the purple. So we're going to next move on to something else. We're going to add some red, and then we're going to try and do the hearts next. Now the hearts don't need too much paint or water. We want a light shade of red. A lot of people who use watercolors tend to draw flowers, floral designs, pattern designs, and children's illustrations for children's books. It's a very popular medium. There's also gouache paint, which is the other paint that's very similar to watercolors. It's also necessary sometimes to change out the water because it may take a different type of, more clean water. If you feel that you've put too much paint on your paper, you can dab it a little bit with paper towel, and that will take off the excess. Now, for the outside part of the cat, we are going to make the exterior of the cat yellow. And the reason for this is because I want this cat to pop out. Now we're going to lay a light yellow wash. I'm going to add more water because the wash needs a lot of water and mix. And then I'm going to apply this in a light way with a kind of a brush feel. And I'm going to do the exterior of the cat first because it'll make it easier to just apply the paint on the rest of the paper more quickly. See, we've done the outlines. And now we can do the filler part, which is everything on the outside part of the paper. And it's good to lay a little bit of a piece of paper when you do the edges so that it doesn't ruin your desk or whatever surface you may be working on, because you don't want it to get all over the place. Now one more corner. We're going to move our little paper, a little bounty, and do the corners here. And there you are, a beautiful cat made by you and me.